Hi everyone, it's Pedro Bias from Go for Glory Stable. Today is January 11th, 2026. Happy New Year. And as usual, please like or subscribe to these videos. It helps the channel to grow if you'd like. And yeah, we have a jam-packed session update this week. Just going to go through the just the general updates right now. Uh, the Go for Glory gear, so the hats, the beanies, the jackets, the t-shirts, things like that. Um, those are being shipped out, so you should have received it by now. So just let Charlie know um, if you haven't received it yet. So those are actually really good quality. So those are either shipped or in the process of being shipped. Videos, as usual. We didn't get a lot this week, but we got videos where the videos are on our YouTube channel, so make sure you kind of follow that and check it periodically because videos will pop up in there from horses training or jogging or just in the barn or whatever. So that's where you can see the updates for videos and such. The dreaded taxes. So probably this week I'll send an update. Or Charlie and I will send an update on like taxes and things like that for 2025. It's just necessary evil. So that's basically where um, 1099s and K1s and all that stuff. Just giving you an update of where that's at, and it's just part of doing business and being a racehorse owner. So we'll get that out, that email out, hopefully at the beginning of this week, and kind of get that process going. Like I said, I wish we didn't have to deal with it, but it's kind of like part of the. It's just something that has to be kind of done. So it's once a year at least, so that's the only good thing. It's once a year. So that will be, you'll probably see something, no communication from that hopefully early this week, tomorrow being Monday or Tuesday. Um, what else? I'm looking down. That's why I keep looking down on my list. Uh, uh, New horses. So we are looking at some new horses. Different one now. We're looking at a 3-year-old pacing filly who's New York and Mass eligible. So and she wouldn't cost that much, probably like in the 20,000 range. And she looks beautiful. She thinks she was like $100,000 yearling, and she's eligible for New York and Massachusetts for this upcoming 2026 season. She doesn't get around turns that great, so she's not going to be flying around the half that well. But she's pretty good. She got some speed, so she's good in the 5/8, she's good in the mile. But we'll see. We're not there yet. Being evaluated. Got to get in touch with Rob um, more on her. He's the one that raised her, or that someone reached out. The owner reached out. Um, so anyway, doing research on that. So stay tuned for that. So she wouldn't race until the 3-year-old stake season starts. Like she'd probably qualify in like March or early April. So, um, but she'd be a 3-year-old for and doing stakes racing. So, and she's a nice, beautiful, um, Huntsville. She's a Huntsville filly. All right, that's what's going on from a new racehorse perspective. Statements. So next week also we're gonna start try to get those December statements out. We're still waiting for a couple of vet bills to come in, it's like some pretty major ones. Um, like for I think Gretzky got like he got some work done. I'm trying to think who else. He got some work done. Maybe Mindhunter. I can't remember. But I'm waiting to see that vet bill to kind of close things up, and then we can get those out so you can see your December numbers. So that's the general updates. Um, this update, this weekly update, we're actually going to have a pretty detailed update on the Paul Kelly horses. Spoke to him for about an hour this morning. So I will. It's going to be a longer update, so I'm going to go quickly because we will go through every horse, not just every horse for Paul, and for as far as the babies for Rob, Seven Seagrams, Solar Queen, Beetlejuice, Blue Chip, they're all doing great. They're all jogging, doing great, moving along nicely. And this week they'll start. Most likely they'll start this week wearing the watch and timing and going down. So that's the story with that. Then let's get started. So let me just get my notes out with the horses. So all right, adios, my Lindy. She's the first one. So she is her and I'll do her and Geologic at the same time. Well, no, let's take Adios Melanie. She is coming, arriving to South Florida on Wednesday. So in a few days this week, she's been in Kentucky for a while, um, and uh, and she's gonna start their training, their official training, um, basically this week. So the 3-year-olds they don't need as much time as the babies, so they're only going to jog for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then start training, start timed training miles and everything. And usually they'll qualify like late March, and they qualify down in Florida, Sunshine Meadows. So they're ready in shape. Adios Marlindi, she's already in shape. She's already fit because she just finished racing not that long ago, a few months ago, and she already did all those months of training and jogging and stuff. So it really doesn't take that long for them to get back in shape. That's the beauty of 3-year-olds. So Adios Marlindi, arriving from Kentucky, Lexington area, or Lexington, I think around there, on Wednesday, and so that is the story with her, and then they'll begin jogging, and then in about 2 to 3 weeks she will begin training, and then, like I said, late March is when they'll plan to qualify. So next horse up we have is Artist Best. He actually just raced right now. Um, it's just one of those things where um, I don't know if I want to do the replays. I want to keep this thing short. He basically was in the back, and he doesn't have a lot of gate speed, so he was in the back. And let's just pull it up real quick, just so we can kind of show the completeness. And this race was actually a lot tougher than I thought. 10 claimers. So he's right here, the 8 horse, and we know this. We've had this horse now for what? I don't know, 7 months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and he just does not have a lot of gate speed. So he doesn't blast out of there. You're already in the 8 hole, so um, the 9 or 10 thankfully didn't get in front. So he had to sit eighth, and then and then when you have a horse like that, and that's kind of like their thing, you really need a lot to go. You need some chaos in the first half, and the first half actually was pretty quick. I think it was like 56. I think it was like 56 and 2 or something like that. And I was like, yeah, oh wow, it's actually pretty quick. And I was like, maybe they'll do like you know, uh, a 59, or even like a 59 back half, and then he can close into it and really get up there. But I think they do like a 56 and 2. There he is back here. He stayed on the inside. He could have followed that 6, but he stayed on the inside. And that 3 just looks like he actually got broken equipment. That's why Colin took him off on the inside, and he pushed us. He pushed us way back there. He pushed us way back. So right here, after the half, we're last. After the half, we're last. So this is probably like, I don't want to say, this is probably like a 5/8. At the 5/8 pole, we're pretty much dead last, and then he's being asked to close into it, and he's saving ground, trying to close into it, but you know, uh, unless this back half was like a 59, you ain't gonna make up that much ground. And he actually did make up a lot of ground. I mean, he's all the way back there. All I look for here, just so everyone who's a lot of you guys have owned for years. So the key you want to look for here when you have a horse like this is, do they finish well? Do they close well? Do they finish well? Or are they truly just lagging behind and not even finishing well? That's a different story. And here, he actually finished well. I think he went like a 56 and 3 back half, 53 and 2 mile. So that was a 57 back half. So, I mean, he only does like a 56 max back half. So which is about 5 lengths. So nothing he can do. That race went a lot faster than expected. We're going to talk to Rob and see what the next stop is. He probably can get away with a few races in the 7,500. And if anybody listening to this and you want to claim him for 7,500, with the New Jersey taxes, go ahead. But we'll talk to Rob and see if that's a good option, or if he wants to try the 10 again and hopefully get it inside. While we're doing this video, it's in the afternoon, I'm trying to watch the 7,500 at Meadowlands and see how that goes. They're racing towards the end of the card. So that's Artist Best. He finished well. The horse is good. I just wish he had gate speed. He does not have gate speed. All right, next horse, Bowie Stoll. He is he's up in Binghamton right now with Ali Scavera. She works with Rob, and she has a turnout farm up there, and she handles his Tioga stable during this racing season. And he's up there. He's hanging out for a couple of weeks, and he's doing fine. Beetlejuice Blue Chip, we've already talked about. He's doing well, moving along, and um, moving along with Rob. Uh, Beyond the Rules. So let's see. So all the babies. So so all the babies. So Beyond the Rules, the only thing to note with her is that she has been in around 255, 256, and other than that, there's really nothing to note on her. She's jogging and doing her job, and really nothing to note. She's training with Paul has two other yearlings. Well, not yearlings now, the babies. He has two other babies, a green shoe and a Captain Corey. So she's just three of them. So she's doing her work with those three. We don't own them. She's doing her work with those three, but she's doing fine, moving along. So she's been in about 255, 256. All the babies, um, all the babies this upcoming week will have been in 255, 256. So Beyond the Rules is doing well. Um, Enola, let's do Enola right now. Once Enola was kind of like the artist best race, where you know she actually does have gate speed, so it's a little different. But she had a 9 post, and she just wasn't able to get up there. So let's pull this up right now. There she is, right there on the outside with the 9 hole, and she's a non-winner 7,500 class. Um, and it looked like right here, it looked like we were actually going to leave and try to blast out and get to the front. But that 7 was there. I mean, he had a choice. The driver had a choice. Keep going, keep going, keep going, and try to, do a 27 first quarter and get to the front. You know, by at all costs type of thing. It wasn't meant to be. So he took it back. He took it basically. He he chose to live to fight another day. And you see this driver right here is parking out to 6 because before this race, Settlemore and they did a drivers meeting and reiterated to all the drivers that you cannot allow drivers in. So look at this 6. He was parked out. He was a 6 post, tried to leave, and he was parked out the entire mile. Enola's too good. We don't want her parked out. I don't think she would have been parked out. I mean, I think she's so good she eventually would have got to the front, but um, yeah, it's one of those things where, yeah, do you want to torture her right now, or just take care of her, work out a trip, and then live to fight another day, and then hopefully, maybe we can do, hopefully draw better. The 9 poles aren't helping us. So there she is right here in the back. Um, we see these two horses right here. This 4 and the 6 starts gapping, so obviously that's pushing us back. This is a 56 and 1/2, which is pretty quick, actually really quick for these horses. And um, there was a lot of horses dropping down from a higher level here, and she's making her move in the end, and she she closed by far the fastest horse in this race. It's one of those things. Somebody said it. One of the guys said it. The best horses don't always win. It's just how racing is. The best horses don't always win. And she closed like a freight train. I mean, she closed I think she closed 27, 27 last quarter, the fastest closer out of every horse in this race, and he wasn't even asking her. Look at that. Look how much ground she made up. So she's doing great. She'll be back in next week, and she can drop down. So she'll be down to the, she will be down. She can drop down to non-winners of 5,000. So let's hopefully we get a decent draw. And I think if we draw anything 1 through 6 or even 1 through 7, I think she should be, as far as morning line, like the morning line favorite or second favorite, at least top 2, top 3 at the worst, especially if she drops down to the next level. So that's the plan with Nola. She was well taken care of last race, and she should be ready to go next week. Geologic, same story as Adios My Lindy. He is coming in on Wednesday, and just like Adios, Paul is actually he's very curious to see how they look, how much, how different they look, because he hasn't seen them in a while. So he's very curious to see that, and and he's just gonna start jogging, and then and then he'll be training within 2 or 3 weeks. So as far as training with a watch. So but yeah, he's coming in on Wednesday, and Paul is very curious to see how he looks. Um, all right, that's Geologic. Next horse is Gretzky the Great. He is in Binghamton also, turned out with Boistel. So he's just hanging out there for another week or so. Um, and then he'll begin his swimming. He just was getting a little too anxious in the barn. Invictus, same thing as Gretzky and Boistel. He's hanging out there up in um, Binghamton, just getting a little breather. He was dealing with that tie up and the bleeding issue. So hopefully this kind of fixes a lot of that stuff. Just Rose's luck. Just Rose's luck. Um, she actually this was her first race in over a month after the sixth scratch, and where she was crazy tied up. Like she was so tied up that they couldn't even measure it. That's her liver enzymes are just through the roof. And she's the 5 horse here. And let's just move my little picture out the way. And she actually looked really good. She got off the gate. She was 15-1, which I was a little surprised with because to me, if she was in midseason form, I think she can win this race. I think she can win it without easily, to be honest. But she gets to the front. And I mean, she got to the front real quick, so this was nice to see. So the big thing with her is I wasn't sure what to expect because when we've seen it before, all of you, when horses are tied up, or sick, they just don't look good. And she 26-3. This was I think this was a really cold night if I remember. My nights are all messed up. It's only 2 days ago. So Meadowlands has 3 days now, and he lets in that 6 horse, and that 6 horse was not good. You know, that's Austin after the race. He said he shouldn't have let that 6 horse in. You see Rosa, she's climbing all over that six, climbing all over that six. She got nowhere to go. She's climbing all over it. Then the 3 gets in the front. The 3 was the favorite, so but 54-4 first half. 54-4 first half. So those 2 horses were completely cooked, while Rosa is still climbing all over them. But the driver has nowhere to go, and she's almost like gonna hit the wheel. She's like all over that helmet, nowhere to go. So Austin, the driver. Well, this just keeps going here. So then it gets a little fuzzy here for some reason. But there she is right there, and then this is when she really kind of gets screwed over because then the driver says, "Well, let me try to go on the inside and go shoot the rail." But then the 6 is blocking the rail, so can't go on the inside, can't squeeze through. And then while he's just trying to find a space, all these horses on the outside start flying by. So Rosa actually raced really good. Remember, you got to look at the race within the race. She raced really good. She was excellent. And Rob said, and Austin, the driver, Austin Siegelman, he said she would have definitely done 52, to win this race without a doubt. How good she looked and felt. Um, Austin Siegelman, he said in hindsight he should have just parked out all those horses. He said he should have just went. He said he should have just went, horns blaring, siren on, and parked them all out, and just said, you know what, I'm gonna try to wire this field and park everybody out. So he thinks she felt good enough that she would have done it. So that's the story with her. But we'll see. We'll see what the next thing is for her. There's actually a good claiming race for her at Meadowlands where they race for, I think, the tags of like 17.5 on the inside and 20 on the outside. They go for really good purses. So she might go in there just because she might not fit this race next week. Would have been nice to go back in this race, but she might not fit it. So that might be a good spot for her at Meadowlands. Loving on Louis. All right, Loving on Louis is a pretty big update. So let's just jump right into this one. Loving on Louis. So he that sickness that Paul mentioned that on the Trot Talk, if everyone knows what I'm talking about, that sickness was a little more than meets the eye. So that was more than the sickness was more than meets the eye. So he had something called pigeon fever. Pigeon, like pigeons, like birds. It has nothing to do with pigeons, though. I don't know why they call it that. And basically, it's like an abscess, like a cyst. If anyone of you ever had like a cyst, that kind of like gets all big and then it pops and all like it oozes, all that stuff. The horses get like an abscess. Like usually it's 95% of the time it's on the chest, but in this case it was like on his right front elbow, that it was like near the shoulder, and Paul said he never saw it before in his life. And apparently there was like an outbreak in Kentucky this year with it, and it's no one's fault or anything. It's just that the conditions in Kentucky are like dry and stuff. It kind of works um, for that particular like disease. I guess they call it disease or virus. It works, cultivates it, I guess. Like this pigeon thing is actually super common in the Southwest. So like New Mexico, Arizona, stuff like that. All those the vets out there, they know about it well because it happens all the time over there. But Paul's never seen it, and he got it from Kentucky. So um so basically, and even Paul's vet that he uses down in Florida, his traditional vet, never saw it either. But there was actually another vet in Florida who is also works in Kentucky a lot, so he was well aware. So he was giving Paul a whole education on it. He sees it all the time in Kentucky. So basically, that thing that it was like an abscess, like near the shoulder, kind of the shoulder of him, and it was like it was like I don't know. It got pretty big. Apparently, it was like half the size of a football, or even the size of a football. I was like, you sure football, Paul? That sounds pretty big. You're like it sounds pretty big when you say football. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty big, maybe like half the size of football, but it was up there, and it was basically hard for him to flex the leg and stuff like that. And he had a temperature that they were working on that was going up and down. And antibiotics, you can't use that on it right away until it kind of blows, which pops. So you got to kind of let it run its course before you do the antibiotics. Um, so basically, they just put a lot of like hot packs on it, like heat and like a liniment and even like a laser Paul used to stimulate the blood flow to the area, and basically to get that abscess to kind of blow to pop. And after 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks or so, it it popped and it was like nasty pus everywhere, like all down his arm, and it was like it's all this pus, which felt good to him because it was like pressure, and all that was just draining out and draining out. So they got it all drawn out. They gave him some sulfur pills the last 10 days, antibiotics, biotics ever since, and he's been good ever since. That was like a few weeks ago. He's been jogging ever since. So he just lost. Um, um, he just lost a little bit of time when he was dealing with that, but he hasn't been timed yet, so that's why he will be doing 255 this week. He hasn't done it yet, but he will be doing 255 this week. But he's good to go. That was just a thing that he was dealing with that he got from Kentucky. He's the only one that had that. So um, all right, to um, let's move on to the. So that's loving on Louis, and although Paul's not really timing any of the horses right now, he did say loving on Louis. He did say he uh, he loves his gait. So loving on Louis travels really well. Um, he's about 10 days, about a week or 10 days behind the fillies because he had to deal with that. But he's him, Paul and Wally and everyone. They really love his gait and how he gets around the track. So he's doing great. All right, that was a long update, but everyone else will be shorter. Ma's always right. She's doing well. She's been also in 255, and nothing really to note on her side. She's doing her job. She is training. She's doing her work with her partner in crime is uh, Scene Lindy. Scene Lindy is her partner in crime. All right, so she's moving along, doing well. Mine Hunter, he's doing well. He should be into. He should be what's so about a week from tomorrow. He should be into qualify at Saratoga. He's doing great. So that's the plan for him, and hopefully things go well, and we just kind of get him rolling and be consistent with him. He's one of the best pacers, one of the best horses in the barn, other than the stakes horses. Um, we just need to get him rolling consistently and get him raced consistently. But he's healthy, he's sound, he's doing great. We just gotta get him rolling again. So he'll be qualifying a week from tomorrow at Saratoga. On tap, Lindy. He was gelded, so similar to Loving on Louis. He's about 10 days to a week behind the fillies because he lost time for being gelded, castrated. So, but he's also doing well, and he's kind of like a a stronger frame type, like a rugged frame. And I'm looking down at my notes, and he's doing well. So he's also has a really nice gait to him. So Paul likes him, likes that gait so far. It's so early right now, you really can't tell anything. Seeing Lindy, she is same thing, been 255, and she's kind of like a bigger filly. She's a bigger filly. She's on a Muscle Hill mare. So she's just naturally a bigger frame because Muscle Hills are bigger frames. Um, and he actually has her on a diet right now. So apparently he said normal. She was just eating a little too much when she was in Kentucky, and not she was eating too much for the work that she was doing. So she's a little bit heavy. So he got her on a little bit of a diet. So he's not giving her as much grain as the other horses, just to get her trimmed down a little bit. And it's normal. Same thing happened with like Crazy for Love, which is another horse we had, and it happens. You got to kind of get them in a certain weight. So that's the story with Seeing Lindy. She's doing well. Seven Seagrams. She's been jogging in Big Z. Doing well. You heard from Rob and his trot talk. He really likes her, and she's actually I saw her a few days after that trot talk, and he's right. She's one of the nicest horses in the barn. She like wants to get. She's kind of like she's like Invictus. She wants to get pet. She wants you to hang out with her, and she's just very sweet, nice filly. So doing her work, doing great. Ship's Revenge. Ship's Revenge. We're not gonna go through her replay. We'll see. She's in to go on tomorrow at Monticello. We'll see how she does over there, and we're leaning. There's actually a pretty decent chance we're gonna breed her. So just keep that in mind. It's a pretty decent chance we're gonna breed her. Try to make her New York, Massachusetts eligible. Looking at American Courage, he just kind of crosses well with her, and American Courage is blue. He's that stallion, that blue chip. He was a monster in the New York Sire Stakes, and uh, so that's the plan with her. She actually has pretty good. She actually has better pedigree than we all thought. So that's the plan with her. It's a long term journey, but if you're interested, just reach out to Charlie or myself. It's a long journey. We'll explain it over time. Once we start actually getting into it, for her updates, it'll be a broodmare update, and if we go down that path, and then obviously the foals will come a year from now, her babies, and then you got, but before you get there, there's a lot that goes on before that. You got like, actually, breed her and hope she gets in foals. So that's what's going on with Ship's Revenge, and she would be based up in Binghamton at Ali Scavera farm, Turnout Farm, if we do that. So you can always visit. She's not that far away if you want to see her, and hopefully the babies, and hopefully the yearlings, and then we take the yearlings and race them in New York and Massachusetts. So that's the story with Ship's Revenge. That's a long process though, so just make sure don't just reach out to Charlie or myself if you're interested before you jump in. Skybox. Let's pull up his race. Um, Skybox. Skybox. He had 9 posts, and he was actually up a level. Skybox was up a level. But he's been ever since he got to the Meadowlands, he just completely transformed into a different horse. It's just, they say horses for courses. So there he is in 9 hole. He's leaving, and that 4 breaks. So that 4 breaking, he was one of the favorites. That 4 actually helped us out significantly. And you see, he left, but he actually wasn't able to get to the front. Those horses on the inside got to the front, and then right here, I thought we were going to get parked the whole way, or either parked the whole way, or he's going to have to do a long journey to get to the front and hope that Super Duper Cooper doesn't park him, when he gets to the front. So, he was, I thought he was really used hard this race. And then Colin needs to go give, Ridge Warren, buy him a beer next time he talks to him for that one horse for letting him in. So, and who knows? Maybe even Ridge got fined for that. I don't even know because you're not supposed to give holes. But if Skybox didn't get a hole, boy, this would have been that hole. Him getting that hole right there was so lucky. It changed the whole course of the race. But that one horse, the only reason why Ridge got to drive is because Colin picked Skybox. But anyway, there the inside opens up, and then once again, I mean, we just got really lucky here. The whole inside opened up. Every horse went outside. So I what's we always say you need to win a race. There's a lot of things that got to go right, and you need to be lucky. So in this case, he got lucky. He got off the gate. He was getting parked. Then he magically got a hole, and then he stayed on the inside. And then all of a sudden, all the horses on the outside went outside, and they went backwards. So, and then he just typical skybox from there. He was game, and he holds them off. That's what he does. He loves. He's not a quick, accelerator type, but he just that's what he does. He likes to fight off horses and he likes to just keep going. He got enough stamina to do this for he could do another mile. 52 and 4. I think he did like a 53 and 1, which was a monster mile for him. And that was huge. So he's doing great. Good job for all the Skybox owners. He'll be back in next week in the same class, and hopefully we get a little more inside. All right, Soho Skyfall. Now this race, whew, oh boy, this race this was tough to watch. This was tough to watch. So this is his first race from last night. This is last night, Saturday night, and this is nasty. This is probably the worst conditions you can imagine, and because it's freezing rain. It's not snow, and it's not like a summer rain. This is freezing rain, 40 degrees, and this is Skybox. He's not Skybox. This is Solo Skyfall. Um, making his debut off the qualifier. He gets off the gate really good. We know he has great gate speed, so he flies out of there. Um, you can't teach that kind of stuff, that kind of gate speed. That nine also has great gate speed. That nine is a kamikaze. So what I mean by that is that's all he does. That nine, his game is to get off the gate, fly to the front, and just go as fast as possible, and then pray he has enough at the end. That's all he does. He's a kamikaze. And then that the 1 to 5 shot right there was trying to get to the front. That nine was, not letting them get there. And then we were sitting there third, and then we made this quarter, kind of like a quarter move right here, and watching it live, not a replay. This is 24 hours later. Watching it live, I first thought I was like, yeah, that was a winning move. And then when I saw the 54 and 1, that's when I was like, oh man, that nine is like, he is going all out in this race. So that nine wasn't letting anybody pass him, and he's a really fast horse. From the first half or first 3 quarters, he's a fast horse. He usually kind of packs it in later on. And Soho I mean, he got off the gate, and then he made a big brush, and then was basically parked out the whole mile, and then he just kind of finished towards the back here. So there's nothing really to watch. This was, I would say, not the race that we wanted to see for his debut, but I could see why, because usually I keep saying Skybox. Soho Skyfall, he's done that move a lot. He's done that move often and successfully. That quarter move to get to the lead, he's done it like many times, and so I could see why. And he also is like a grabby horse, and he wants to do it. He wants to go. So he always wants to go. We've seen that from the beginning, and that's when we know he's good and we know he's fresh. Um, yeah, it just didn't work out. You know, we got it's a long season. You got to remember it's a long season. We're January 11th, 2026. We have an entire 12 months ahead of us. So even though the racing is fun, we got a lot of action going every week, and you know we we got horses coming back like Soho Skyfall. We got Mine Hunter coming back in early February, and then obviously we got Bowisto and Invictus that'll be back in February. So and then Gretzky in the hopefully March or early April, like Rob said, hopefully March though. Um, it's a long season, so you're gonna have races that go your way. You know, you're gonna have races that don't go your way. You're gonna have outside posts that works out amazingly, super lucky the way Skybox did, and you're gonna have outside posts where you're getting parked the whole mile, or you got to take back and retreat, and then just hope for a trip, and then you got to wait for next week. That's how the racing goes. You can't, you don't want to. You got to make these horses last a full season, a full year. That obviously that Soho Skyfall race was kind of quite the opposite. It was like over aggressive. So I'm never gonna fault an aggressive drive because I kind of like to see aggressive, but I'm not a driver. So at the same token, I'm not a driver. I at the same token, you got to kind of like weigh both things. Like, all right, you know, sometimes you got to be retreat, live to fight another day. Sometimes you got to be a little more conservative, try to work out a trip and, hope to work out a trip and get to the winner circle from there. Sometimes you got to make a real big power move like was made with Soho. And then, if it worked out, we would have said, wow, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen in our lives. But it didn't work out. And then it's like, everybody's like, oh my goodness. But the key thing here is the horse looked great. He went he hasn't raced a real race in like 4 months, and he did a 54 and one first half in a sloppy, disgusting track with a track variant of -2, and he was doing it parked out the whole entire side. So he raced incredible for a horse that hasn't raced in that long. We just gotta, you know, we gotta hopefully going forward, we gotta hopefully avoid those type of um, um, those type of trips. So we got to keep them. You don't want to do too many of those trips because then it kind of takes the air out of a horse, takes the wind out of them. So, um, but if anything, Soho Skyfall is tight now. I mean, you got to think he was sleeping all day today, and he's got to be. If anything, that race should have gotten him in excellent form. So let me talk to Rob. We'll see what the plan is for next week, or whatever race he's going to go in next. But if he does, if he races next week, then he actually drops down again. So we just like I said, it's a long season. We got to keep these horses fresh. We got to keep these horses strong. And sometimes races work out, sometimes they don't. So last night did not work out. Even myself, I was like, that was not what I wanted to see. But you know, it's a whole effort to get to the winner circle. All right, Solar Queen. She's doing well. She's jogging. She's doing her work. She's doing work with Seven Seagrams, Big Z, and nothing to note. She's just solid. Mets Hall, Philly, New York bred, and doing her thing. Pleasant in the barn. And second chapter, last but not least, he is he kind of has a bigger update too. He's been jogging for about 3 weeks now. He came in a few days before Christmas, and the plan is that when Adios and Geologic arrive next week, that whenever they're ready to begin training, second chapter would have had like a jump on them with jogging and stuff because he hasn't been raced. He was shut down in like September, so he's not as in shape as they are. So he's doing well. He's jogging. The plan is that once Adios and Geologic start training, that second chapter will start training with them, and they'll all be on the same schedule. But he's been down longer, and he's been training jogging for at least 3 weeks now, and he's doing well. He had a treatment for it's called Osphos. It's for like the bone. It helps. It's like a preventative treatment that helps the bones kind of grow and strengthen. So we'll see that. I mean, it's worth its weight in gold. We had that. Skybox had it actually. So who knows if that's what caused his you know performance. My Hunter had it. For the bone bruise. And we'll see how he kind of likes it. But he had that treatment recently, and it's just it should help hopefully with he was basically colt sore. Last year he was essentially what they call a colt sore, which he had it's like bone remodeling in his like hind ankles. They just weren't developed yet. So he just wasn't right. He was still growing, still developing. Paul said he could have done, spent $1,000, $2,000 on MRIs to find out exactly where and this and that. But he's been through this enough. He has enough experience seeing this enough that he just said, you know what, he just needs time off, and then this Osphos injection is just should help. And the good thing about this is that it takes usually around 6 to 8 weeks for it to really show its impact. It's not like an instantaneous thing. It builds up over like 6 to 8 weeks. So we'll see how he responds from that. But he's doing well, and he is moving along. And then he'll be on the same schedule as Adios and Geologic once they get back to training. So overall, the Paul babies, they're all doing great. Wally's having a good time. Wally Hennessy, they're all starting to see how they keep growing, and down there with the sand track, uh, they have a sand track down there versus the um, much more harder surface in the Saratoga and the Northeast tracks, and uh, basically it's harder to get around sand. Like you try running in sand versus running in concrete, or running in grass, it's completely different. So the horses are doing well. All the babies are doing well. They're growing. They're getting stronger every day. Wally's always saying how they're getting stronger, and he's noticing it. And and they're starting to really understand their job, really understand their work, and just every day it's getting easier and better with them, and easier. It's getting easier for them too. So anyway, That's the update for this week. Like I said, it was a lot longer than usual, but we had a much more detailed update on Paul, and then we had a lot of racing to go over. So with that being said, good luck next week, and have a good rest of your week and weekend. Take care.